Good evening, everybody. Today I feel like this topic shouldn't be short and sweet because there's so much to unpack, but I don't know. Let's see how this goes. We're going to talk about um, divine femininity, dark divine femininity, whatever you want to call it, and why most of you have it all wrong. Like, you don't actually understand what it means to be in your feminine energy. I know a lot of people, especially women, when we go through our healing journeys, this is like the first thing that they tell us to do: tap into your divine feminine energy, understand what type of woman you are. And then, because obviously there's trends within spirituality all the time, there was that one trend with like light versus dark divine feminine energy. And I think that's what really sort of got this confusion on what it actually means started, because it's not about you dressing up a certain way. Like, light femininity is not like you wearing floral dresses and like going around running in the rain or something. And dark femininity is not wearing all black and red lipstick and red like nails. Like, who told y'all that? like like I get it, like we're all kind of like thrown into that in the beginning, but it's also your job. If you're really like wanting to change your life around, it's your job to look at that and be like, okay, that's not right. I mean, I hope y'all know that that's not right. I hope so. But I've got big list today, like big list. It's basically a script at this point, but y'all know me. I just like to talk, so we're gonna talk. First point, you are light and you are dark. To me, there is no such thing as just only being in your dark feminine era and only being in your light feminine. No, like, you go through both. You have both inside of you as a woman. And on top of that, you also have your masculine energy. Like, if you're a man or you identify as a man, whatever, you also have feminine energy inside of you. It's not just like like it doesn't stay within your gender, if that makes sense. Very like broadly, I don't think my like definition is like, textbook or anything, but divine masculinity traits are usually things like strength and logic and whatever, those male characteristics, while feminine ones are more like, your intuition, your emotion, your creativity, things like that. You have both of those. No matter what you identify as, it doesn't matter. You're gonna like have those two energies inside of you. So one thing you're not gonna do is just neglect the other. Especially looking at like dark feminine energy. Don't neglect your light either. Like, you can coexist. And I've made a video about like duality and two things occurring at once, because I think a lot of people forget that two things can happen at once. More than two things can happen at once. Like, I can be a dark feminine, but I also can be a light feminine. Like, it does not matter. Like, I don't have to pick one or the other. And I think me personally, when I first like started healing, I only focused on the dark. Like, that was my thing. And I just never got to allow myself to be light. And if you don't know the difference between the two, dark feminine is almost like, how would I explain dark feminine? I don't know, but light feminine, they're like two different ends of the spectrum. But don't go about like researching this like on TikTok, because I know a lot of y'all like to do that. Wait, RIP TikTok if you live in America. I don't, so, and I don't use TikTok, so it doesn't really matter. But I think light feminine is very soft, like soft life, soft girl era. That's me when I'm in my light feminine. And dark is very like take no shit, whatever. But at the same time, they're both like that, because we're gonna get into this after. Well, we can actually get into it now. A lot of people use dark femininity as an excuse almost for being a shitty person. I don't get that. Like, it's crazy. Like, it actually is crazy, because just because you're in your healing dark feminine era doesn't mean that you can be a cunt. And not in a nice way when I say cunt. Like, I've seen people genuinely be horrible persons to themselves and to other people, and then they just use the, well, a dark feminine woman would do that. Okay, okay. It's not about being like an old bitter person. It's not that. But it's also not about being like, soft and just letting people take you for granted. Like, you need to find that middle line almost. Is literally just about owning your femininity. And while we're talking about owning your femininity, I didn't talk about men. You see, y'all need to decenter men for your lives. I've written so many Substack articles about that. I feel like every video is just me plugging my Substack, but I've written so many articles about me. Men are not at the center of my life. They will never be at the center of my life. Because why would they? Why would a man, as a woman, why would a man be at the center of your life? Why are you living for men? Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm gonna elaborate on that a bit. But you, as a woman, have gone through we're gonna get into like patriarchy. Are we gonna get really political? As a woman, you've gone through so much shit from society most of the time. A society that was built for men. Like, it's always about them. So why would you want to have like your life centered around like pleasing a man? That's my thing. Like, why would you want to please a man for the rest of your life? Like, you don't enjoy freedom. You don't enjoy doing things just because you want to. Like, I feel like in our generation, people in my age group, this is mostly manifested around like, posting a picture because you think your crush is gonna like it on Instagram, or, acting out of character to please a man. Trust me, we've been there. We've been there. We've all done it. Like, y'all don't want to see the shit I was doing like 3 years ago to try to get a man's attention. We've all done it. But you need to sit down and be like, this is fucking embarrassing. Because it's fucking embarrassing. Like, it's honestly embarrassing to live your life centered around men. Like, are you happy doing that? Are you genuinely happy thinking about everything that you post and how a man is going to react to that? Like, literally sit down and ask yourself if you're happy doing that. Because I guarantee you're not. Like, what, like, satisfaction does that give you? What type of, like, validation does that give you? Because you clearly don't even love yourself enough to just post a picture just for the sake of it if you're posting it for somebody else. And a man at that, crazy. Like, crazy work. I don't know. I just, like, trust me when I say that I've made those mistakes. Like, I literally remember making a private story on Snapchat just with this one guy, but like, I'd act like it was my main private story just so that he could reply. Do y'all hear how embarrassing? If I was white, I'd be blushing right now because that's so embarrassing. That's so embarrassing. It's just like, yes, realize that you allowed that shit to happen. Like, I understand that sometimes like things are out of your control, like, I don't know, maybe you were in a bad relationship, but at the same time, you stayed. Like, you allowed these things to happen. I know this sounds really, really harsh, but that's what I mean when I, like, every time I come on here, I always talk about shadow work and how it helped me with a lot of things. Like, I was in a pretty, like, mentally draining relationship, and that was like my first relationship. And actually, this was not even with a man, so, but it was just like, I kept staying, and I knew I wanted to leave, but I kept staying. And after it ended, and that's when I really got into shadow work, I was like, I allowed that shit. I let that slide. I was still there after I wasn't being treated properly. I was still there after XYZ happened, and I didn't do anything about it. Like, you also have to take accountability for your actions, and I know it's hard, and I know not like nobody wants to do that, but you need to. You need to, because that's the only way that you're gonna heal, and that's the only way that, you're gonna stop being a victim. Like, no shade. You fucked up, I fucked up, we've all fucked up. Take accountability for it. Do your shadow work, get your book, and get to it. Like, get to it. I'm not even, like, I wish I could, like, shake you guys. Like, just stop. That was that side. right, of the story of what femininity is to me. And I think, honestly, taking accountability is such a big part of femininity and like divine femininity. And also like I said, like I said before, you have a dark side. Period. Like, and I think shadow work is something that really gets that out of you, because you're capable of like both good and evil. Again, duality. Two things exist at once. And I think a lot of us try to just either be all soft and like good, and you just neglect like light, and you neglect your darkness, and they're gonna bite you in the ass because you shouldn't. You shouldn't. Another thing I wanted to talk about with dark femininity specifically, like I think a lot of you might say, oh, dark femininity, I'm not like centering men from my life. And then you do that thing which is like, oh, he didn't text you back in 2 seconds, block him. That's like a tip that I see everywhere, like online, about dark femininity. So you want me to block somebody after 2 seconds, like, of being undelivered? Like, people have lives. People do things. That's not what dark femininity is about, because even if that's what, like, if that's the advice you're following, like, okay, this person didn't text me back after, I don't know, 2 hours, I'm gonna block them. Like, you're low-key still centering a man, especially when you're like, ooh, I'm gonna block him and just go find another man. Like, you're still sort of living for a man in a sense, or for a woman or whatever, because you don't need them. Like, sure, like, do the whole thing of like blocking them if you want, but that's it. Like, don't go and like chase after another man. Don't go looking for another man. Like, that's crazy. Like, just let it go. Because if you are like sure within yourself, and if you are confident within yourself, and if you've like sort of taken your power and your energy back from all these people that like played you in the past, and also if you've finally like understood who you are, shit like that shouldn't bother you. And you don't, I mean, block them, whatever, do whatever you want, but you shouldn't even have to chase after anyone, because people are gonna come to you. You don't actually have to do anything. Like, they'll just come to you, you know? I don't chase, I attract, but it basically is that. Another thing that I'd like to talk about when it comes to what exactly, femininity is, divine femininity is, I've already said, like, be free, but genuinely be free. Like, I don't think, I mean, I don't know how many people here, like, talk about ancestral, like, veneration and, like, speaking to your ancestors and whatever, but just thinking about it, especially your female ancestors, have gone through so much shit, like I've said before. So much shit. Like, they were shut down for speaking their opinions. They weren't allowed to do this and this and this. Why would you want to live that life, controlled by other people? No, be free. Like, the best thing you can do to honor the women in your lineage is literally to be free. That's how I see divine femininity. Like, I feel like the worst, I don't want to say the worst, but yeah, the worst thing that I can do for them is literally like be put in a cage. That's what I like. That's what I see like femininity as. Like, I would never want to do something that's not for me, and I would never want to do something, to please a man or for a man, because I'm like, I feel like my whole ancestors, like I feel like everybody is gonna be like disappointed in me, because why the fuck would you do that? I don't know. Maybe I'm sounding crazy to some of you, but think about it. Like, I feel like being a divine feminine woman, whatever you are, like, if you're more into the light side or if you're more into the dark side, it really doesn't matter. Like, honestly, me, I'm more leaning towards like dark femininity, but I'm still like, like I said, in and out of both. I just want to be free. I don't want to live by societal rules. I don't want to live by patriarchal rules. Oof, that's a topic for another day. like, Like, there's this quote from this TV show. Oh, this is so crazy that I'm even saying this. Young, Famous, and African, season one, where somebody said men would leave you in the desert with no water. That's period. Like, I hope y'all know that. I hope y'all know that. It's just like, I don't know what it's gonna take for us as a society to stop living for men, because even men live for men. That's what I mean when I say that, you know, these energies are in all of us, because men, like, have y'all seen the gym bros? Like, men live for men too. Like, I need somebody to just tear this shit down, because it's not right. It's not right, and it's not okay. Like, it needs to go. I don't know. This was just like, does this still even fall under like the divine feminine, like all wrong or whatever I said would be? That wasn't even English. Like, does this fall under the video topic? I don't know if it does, but I feel like I spoke about everything I wanted to speak. Um, I don't know. I feel like I could go into like self victimizing a bit more, but I also think that should be its own video, because it's a long topic and I want to like get more personal with that, because one thing about old me, I used to play the victim like crazy, when at the end of the day I still made those decisions, and I still did all of that, and I still stayed in those shitty relationships, and I still stayed. Ooh, another thing I will mention, ladies, men, whatever, if you're like looking to be in a relationship, even if you're not, make a list. Make a list of what your like desired dream partner would have. And if whoever you're talking to isn't hitting those lists, I said, and I made like a point scale. I said, if you don't have at least 30 points, you're out. Because that's going to keep you like accountable. Because I'm not settling anymore. Because I feel like we always say this, oh, I'm not settling. My standards are so high, I'm not settling. And then some random guy comes up and you're like, oh my God, I want to live. Like, this is like my dream man. And then you just forget about everything that you said you wouldn't settle for. And then you're stuck there. This is what I mean. Don't play the victim, because you let that happen to yourself. And I'm speaking from experience. I did that. Yes, I did that. That's why I had to make my list. Like, I had to make my list. But yeah, that is it for today's video. It's snowing outside, so I'm gonna chill a little bit. Like, it's cute. But I hope you're having a good day. Well, it's afternoon or night whenever you watch this, and I'll see you next time. Bye.